welcome to Reverend Verona Garland.
So what she did not say is that we love each other beyond measure. And what she did not say is that love came to be because we had disagreements. We did not understand one another. However, we were devoted to ministering together. So I want to add that in too, because we have come a long way. Yes. And we have a lot farther to go. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, love streamers. So happy everyone is here today, and I'm so happy to be here. As Linda said, I have just returned recently from Europe, where my daughter's nuptials were. And when I got in from England, I felt pretty jet-lagged and pretty tired, and I was thinking, oh, I just want to stay at home. However, I knew I was coming here. So it was very easy to unpack my bag, pack my bag, and get going again. So today what we're going to co-create together about is Bountiful, Plentiful Accord. And I say co-create together because, yes, I am the one up here with the iPad who did studying and let it be with me and embrace this all week long, and for about a week and a half. However, it cannot be what it is without each one of us who has chosen to come here today. Because we are, of course, all one. All one, all one, all one, all one. Even though we're fortunate to have different appearances, that we have these mobile ashrams that we carry spirit around in, better known as our bodies. So this month's theme, I understand, is harmony and happiness. And before we get into co-creating together, I always like to have a little giggle. So I'd like to tell you a little giggle. So there was a man who walked into a store. And he walked into the store and he touched an item and said to the shopkeeper, "What is this?" Shopkeeper said, "These are potatoes." And so he said, "Could I have a pound individually wrapped?" So the shopkeeper said, "Okay." So he moves to another part of the store and touches something. "What is this?" Shopkeeper says, "These are plums." And the man says, "Could I have a pound of these individually wrapped?" So now the shopkeeper is making that little tuss noise, like, really, actually? So then the man keeps walking around and he comes to another bin of things and he says to the shopkeeper, "What is this?" The shopkeeper said, "Those are poppy seeds and they are not for sale." Just a little giggle to remind us that spirit is joy and laughter and giggles and humor and all those other things when we might be in the experience of being serious about spirit. Spirit is everything and then some more. So I'd like to start with some definitions. And first definition is, what is happiness? What is happiness? Now, I want to make it clear happiness is something different to every one of us in every moment. However, this is the definition that showed up for me when I was being with this. Happiness can be contentment, pleasure, satisfaction, and it's all cultivated with gratitude. Yeah, I can be happy about the fact that as I was getting packed to come here, I was rushing through my bedroom and I stubbed my toe on my bed frame. However, I could be happy about the fact that I could feel it. I could have gratitude that I know that my foot can heal itself. Gratitude that I was going someplace. Yes, all those things. So to me, that's what happiness is. And then we have harmony. And what is harmony? Harmony for me is a chord. And thank you so much, Reverend Myrna, for your meditative and reading time, because you said something that's really true. The world is filled with peace. The world is overflowing with accord. It is ours to accept it within each one of us. Are there peaceful thoughts that run through your head? I like to say, this is the great Edwin Gaines who says this, is your heart a safe place for everyone if they happen to show up there? Yeah, think about it. Is there peace? And peace to me is the same as accord. So that accord is being in agreement with one another. Accord is knowing that as we love one another, as we see one another, instead of being judgmental of each other, we get to be curious about, this is an expression of the divine just as I am, and what is this expression of the divine here to teach me? Reverend Cindy and I were talking this morning, and we were talking about how people show up in our lives to teach us lessons. They have been known in the past as noble friends. And what are noble friends? For me, it's someone who gets on my very last nerve. And that's because they are here to teach me something. And I get to accept that they're here to keep me in accord, to keep me in harmony, and to keep me in the harmony that is the happiness of the divine. So I found this quote, and I don't know who it's by. However, it speaks to harmony and happiness. Oh, I forgot one more definition. Plentiful. What is plentiful? I love it that plenty precedes all need. Now, that's not mine. I wish it was. That's the wonderful Florence Scovel Shinn. However, think about it. Plenty precedes all need. There is not anything that we need that is not ours to have. Yeah. Plenty precedes all need. So what is plentiful? So plentiful is absolutely infinite, the infinity of everything. Our life is plentiful. The world is plentiful. Everything is plentiful. Everything is about plenty. I mean, we all woke up this morning, got out of bed, got here in one form of transportation or another. Look at all those plentiful blessings that are ours up until this moment. Like this morning, we opened our eyes and we could see. You know, so the plenitude of the divine is everywhere present. So this quote I found, or this quotation I found, it suits us here today. It says, harmony isn't the absence of challenge, but the willingness to move with life's currents. In this movement, happiness unfolds naturally and organically, much like the foam of a tide on the shore. Yeah, think about that. Let that sink in. Just visualize it. Let it sink into, every single cell of our body, which is already in there anyway. However, think about that. That's how happiness and harmony coexist together. So I'd like to share a story with you about happiness and harmony. It's an African story. It's a Nigerian story, actually. And just so you know, I'm so happy and so proud of it that my daughter married into a Nigerian family. So they now let me know I'm also part of their family. So this Nigerian story hit home for me. And so there was, there in a valley long ago, where the earth had grown dry and the sky seemed too distant to hear prayers, a hidden stream whispered beneath the rocks. For years, the villagers had searched for water, calling to the heavens with desperate hands, yet nothing came. One morning, a faint murmur of movement drew a child to the far edge of the valley. There, between moss-covered stones, a delicate thread of water shimmered in the sun's first light. The villagers gathered slowly, uncertain if hope had finally arrived. The stream did not roar or surge. It slipped quietly over the stones, weaving between roots, carrying the gentle scent of life. As they drank, laughter rose, and among them, soft bird songs came through. Children splashed, flowers leaned closer, and all was well. No one could explain why this tiny stream, almost invisible at first, brought such abundance. Yet, thank you so much, Renelle. Yet, each heart felt it. Happiness, and to know that happiness is not a flood to command. Think about it. Happiness is not a flood to command, but a hidden current that awakens when we flow in harmony with what already exists. We are already given everything we need. We are already in harmony with the divine, the infinite divine. It is already there. The valley learned to honor the quiet rhythm of the stream, and in that attentiveness, the land and its people bloomed together, joy flowing like water through every living thing. Now, this African story, this Nigerian story that came to me, it really struck my heart because it let me know that happiness and harmony is within us. It's already there. It is already there. And what is it waiting? You might be saying, okay, so Rev Verona, what is it waiting for to show up? I'm unhappy and I don't have harmony. What is it waiting for? All it's waiting for is our yes. That's all it's waiting for is our awareness, our yes, and our ability to know and to accept that we are one with the power that created us, that anything can happen in our lives. So I was being with all of this, and I thought, okay, I like this story, and also I spent a little time with your book of the month. And in the book of the month, what it said, I love this, it says, you must decide what life you want to live. The life of your not self or the one of your true self. You must choose. Think about it. We all know our not self and our true self. I can feel my not self and my true self. I have visceral feelings in my abdominal area when I'm being my not self. You know, sometimes when I'm being my not self, and this is being very transparent, when I say yes and I mean no, I know, I understand that my not self is acting through me then. However, when I choose to be the truth of who and what I am, my true self, then all is well. All unfolds exactly the way I'd like it to. So I was being with this, and for me, I love this philosophy. I love science of mind. Someone asked me yesterday what was my religious foundation. I was raised a Southern Baptist girl. And there was a lot of fire and brimstone and a lot of yelling and a lot of this and a lot of that. And so I was so happy when I discovered science of mind to know that, wow, I can have all of that if I'd like it. However, what this philosophy is we are one. Spirit is within us. Each of us is absolutely the most precious, the most delightful, the most bespoke and spectacular expression of the one. So, in the knowing of that, I also remember that we are all in a place of humanness. You know, we are all that. My practitioner often says to me, well, okay, are you just going to float around the world being spirit, or are you going to actually be a human and make things better? so I answer him and say, okay, I guess I'm still in this body, I guess so. So I was thinking of, in what way can we all bring together harmony, happiness in our everyday life? And what showed up for me is a wonderful acronym, and it is SAGE. Now, I'm sure several of you sage your homes. I sage my house once a week. And even though I live by myself, I sage my house once a week because you never know what energies I bring in there or my friends bring in there or whatever. So anyway, but this acronym SAGE that showed up for me is the way that we absolutely get to cleanse our heart and mind and cleanse our sacred divinity. So SAGE, what is it for? S, the first part of it. Surrender contractions. And what are contractions? I don't mean the kind of contractions that you have when you push a baby out. But what? Our life is like that. We're always birthing something. Surrender doubts, surrender anger, surrender anxiety, and this is a big one, surrender imposter syndrome. Do we all know what imposter syndrome is? Yes. When it's like, well, how could it be me, God? It's not me, Spirit. Well, I'm not the one. You know, when Spirit is tapping you on the shoulder or whispering in your ear, you are the one to bring love to the planet. You are the one to bring peace to the planet. You are the one to bring joy to the planet. You are the one. There's no one on the outside of you that's bringing it. You, my beloved whom I adore, you are the one. So that's what the first one I call surrender contractions. Because when I am not embracing all that I am, I'm contracted. My body's contracted, my mind is contracted, my heart is even contracted. So the first part of this is surrender contractions. Second part is allow your current of well-being happiness. Because there's always something to be happy about. There is always something to be happy about. And all of us in here, most of us, have lived long enough to know that sometimes something that appears to be a non-blessing turns out to be a spectacular blessing. Something that happens in our life. It does. So allow our current well-being of happiness. And that also, I love this part, we get to be the imaginal cells of Source. The imaginal cells of Source. What is that? The imagination of the divine. We get to be, because you know, there's no way we can quantify Spirit. It's like, and so much more. And so be the imaginal cells of the divine. Allow that to happen. Allow that to happen within us. The next part is, and I love this because this is a new word that I found, and I love these made-up words. The third one, G, S-A-G. I love this word. Gratitudinize your life. Yay! Gratitudinize your life. Be grateful for every moment, every activity, and that will free up our heart and mind. Gratitudinize your life. And not just gratitudinize it like, okay, I know I'm grateful, I'm grateful. No, speak it out loud for every time, everything. I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, I'm grateful. And not just grateful for the obvious things, grateful for everything, you know? I'm grateful that, I don't know, I can feel that I have a headache because everything's working in there. I'm grateful that I know that my body knows how to heal itself. You know, I'm grateful that I have this is for me. I'm grateful that I had a disagreement with my sister, and it helps me to know that she is a light being, and so am I, and that we get to come together in harmony. Yeah, I'm grateful, grateful, grateful. So gratitudinize everything in your life. And the last one is expect differently. Do you know how sometimes we expect the least for ourselves? Or sometimes like I expect the in-between for myself sometimes. Sometimes, not really a lot lately, actually, honestly. But in the past, I have expected average instead of knowing that I am a being of excellence. How can I not be? I'm made in the image and likeness of the Most High. And that's not just me, Verona. That's all of us. Each of us is that. When you look in the mirror in the morning, do you realize you're looking at a miracle? Yeah. Or when you're having a conversation with a friend, do you realize that this is spirit communicating with itself to its highest and its greatest and its most wondrousness? So expect differently. And by expecting differently, it means to me being a revelation of divine order. I'm a revelation of divine order. So sage, surrender, allow, gratitudinize, and expect. So I was being with this, and I thought, oh, I love this spirit. I love acronyms. I love this. I love the idea of cleansing my heart, my mind, and body. And I thought, how is this showing up in my own life? Now, this acronym showed up for me about, 10 days ago. However, I just thought, in what way have I been using this? And then it showed up for me very clearly. This is what happened. This is what happened. And this happened a few months ago. However, I have known for most of my life, of all the decades I've been here, that I have something to share, that I am shining brilliantly the light of the divine. And so about last fall, October, Spirit kept waking me up in the middle of the night, how dare she, saying, you have something to share. You've been through something. You have something to share. It's time now. It's time for you to put it in what humans call a book. You have something to share. I wrote this book, and so this kept on for a couple of months, and I kept losing sleep, and then finally I realized, guess what? Wouldn't it be easy to just be obedient and write the book? So I joined a book writing class given by my dear friend, Reverend Dr. Laura Topper, and I wrote this book. And this book is about my journey, Destination Freedom, Flying Out of Debt. It's about the journey that I had in my life and that I knew so many other people had in their lives. I knew that because, for one thing, I used to be part of a profession that what we did was travel around the world and buy as many things as we could. Buy as many things as we could fit into the cargo pit of our airplane. Buy as many things as we could fit into the overhead bin. Buy, shop, 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 shop. Now, I'm not saying there's anything incorrect about this because it was circulation. However, the effect that it had on me was I, Verona, got into $35,000 credit card debt. Credit card and other store debt. I used to say when I'd get up and go to work, I'm going to work for Nordstrom's because that's where my money's going. And so it became really clear to me this was mine to do. Now, when this became clear to me, and it took me about 3 months to write the book, it dawned on me here recently that I had used this acronym, SAGE. I surrendered my doubts and my anxiety because I really kept saying to Spirit in the middle of the night, waking up, putting on my glasses, it's not me, God. I can't do it. Yes, I'll be honest, I did say that. And Spirit kept saying to me, well, you're not the one doing it. It's me doing it through you. So the first part, I surrendered. I surrendered the contraction I was having about, the other part about writing this book, about putting myself out there on Front Street, as they say. People knowing all about me, because a lot of people, and Reverend Cindy, Reverend Myrna, all the ministers in here, Reverend Linda, know that sometimes people have a certain idea about us ministers that we're not like living life and learning our lessons like everybody else. So for me, that was it. Surrender that contraction. The second thing, allow my current well-being of happiness. I was very, very happy. I got very, very happy when I made my way through this. My life is filled with happiness. I am so happy to be where I am, who I am, what I'm doing. And I'm so happy about the lessons I'm learning, and sometimes those lessons sometimes those lessons don't feel so good. The other part, I gratitudinized my every moment. I was so grateful for all the things I had been through, for all the things I came to know, all the things I had come through, all the activities I had been a part of that while that activity was going on, I may have thought it was quote unquote wrong. And we all know in here there's no right and wrong in God. None. It's all God. It's all good. It's all the goodness of the divine. And then the other part that I realized I used when I wrote this book is expect differently. I really was in this place where I thought, well, nobody needs this information. Everybody I know is their financial conscientiousness, financial freedom, everything is all set. However, the expect differently really came to me when I was mentioned to one of my siblings that I was thinking about doing this, and she said, this is exactly what she said. Oh my God, Verona, I need to know about that. And I thought, oh, okay, Spirit, all right, I'm listening. So I used this acronym. I really cleansed and saged my heart and my mind by letting myself sit down, open my heart, get in front of and I'm going to tell you all the truth. I wrote this book not on a computer. I wrote this little baby on my iPad, sitting in front of my iPad, and letting it all come through, allowing myself to cleanse the divine within me, to cleanse the heart within me, to cleanse and sage the mind of spirit within me, even though the mind of spirit is perfect already, but what I had decided to embrace, what I had decided to adopt, what I had decided to express. So, I'd like to ask you, are you ready for the bountiful, plentiful accord, happiness, harmony, and the beingness of the divine that you already are? And I'd like you to answer me the way you answered Reverend Linda at the top of the service. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, I don't tell this story very often, but several people in the audience know it. One of these people, a lot of people know it. What I used to do was I was international flight attendant. And I did it for quite a few decades, believe it or not. And one of the residues of being an international flight attendant, I learned so many things. It was a wonderful job. However, jet engines, all the time. So that I might say, I don't like to admit it, but maybe my hearing is not as great as it used to be. It's not as succinct. So I'd like to ask you again. In the life of spirit that expresses itself as you, are you ready for the bountiful, plentiful accord that is yours to have in any second, any moment, any time? Yeah! Yay! Okay, all right, let's pray. I am so grateful. I am so grateful to know that there is one power, one presence, one essence, knowing itself, loving itself, being itself. How grateful I am to know that the ineffable, the infinite, the eternal, and the immortal is God itself. So many names: God, Buddha, Allah, Olodumare, Jehovah Jireh, Yeshua ben Joseph. So many names, so vast and infinite the substance, the allness and the isness of the divine. How grateful I am to remember and to recognize in the knowing that I am what God is, and that each one here within the sound of my voice is what God is. God is everywhere present. We are one. The oneness of the divine, the oneness of spirit, one, one, one. How grateful I am to know this, and how wonderful it is to speak the word. First and foremost, I speak the word for our world. I declare and know and affirm right here and right now that peace prevails, that harmony and happiness reigns supreme despite the human appearances. How wonderful it is to know that each one of us is a vessel of these God qualities and so much more. I declare it, I affirm it, and I accept it right here and right now. And I also accept and know that as we sage our hearts, sage our minds, as we cleanse that is the divine within us, that all is well, that it unfolds in plenitude, in prosperity, in bountifulness, and so much more. I also declare and know right here and right now that this center, this beloved center, this Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living is a place of love, transformation, transmutation, harmony, happiness, joy, harmony, artistry, peace, and grace. That grace that is our sufficiency in, through, and as all things pours forth limitlessly from this center, through and as each one of us and out into the world. I declare it, I affirm it, and I know that it is the truth, and I also speak and know that for each one of us, that wholeness, vitality, revitalization, prosperity, love, compassion, tenderness, kindness reigns supreme. These God qualities know themselves in, through, and as us with ease and effortlessness, fluidity and flexibility flow through us. Like the creeks flow to the streams, and the streams flow to the rivers, and the rivers flow to the oceans, and the oceans flow around the planets. All is well and in divine, right, and perfect order. I give thanks for these blessings. I give thanks for all of this and the more. I give thanks for it, knowing that it is unequivocally done as we speak the word. I give thanks for this all. So be it, and so it is. Amen. Ashe. Aho.